Page 10, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. 4/4 time. Got one flat. It's either an F major or D minor. They both have one flat. Let's look at the last measure at the bottom of page 11. You're here. That's an F chord. I'd say it's an F major, probably an F major. Let's look at this one hand at a time, starting with the right hand. Your third finger on C, and immediately they give you B naturals. And both of those B's are naturals. But then second measure, that's a B flat. See, that natural is only good for the measure. It's good for the whole measure, but only the measure. And then lift up and come down. And this is an octave here, between here and here. So when you come down, you're really kind of staying there. You're just reaching down because you want to be in this position. You got to be ready for that C. Then you can collapse. And they're saying 1-3. So you can play it with a thumb and then immediately put your third finger on it. Yeah. Depending on how fast you go. Different people will take this at different speeds. But you can substitute very quickly if you get a lot of practice at it. I've had a lot of practice. I do a lot of finger substitutions. So this is not a problem for me. Here, however, another way you can do this so you don't have to do the finger substitution, you don't want to, is on the 2/8 notes, play it 5/4 here. And now you're in this position. And then you can cross over and play. You're playing thumb on G, just cross over third finger. That's another way. Might be easier for you. It's your choice. You try them both out and pick one and stick with it. If the fingering you've chosen isn't the one that's in the book, you take a pencil and pencil it in. So you know it. And maybe somebody else coming along might like your fingering. I don't know. Second line here. Dotted rhythms, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And then it's the end of a phrase. They don't have any phrasing in here, but you can follow the words. So when you have a comma or a period or a semicolon or something that in the words, chances are it's a phrase. It's the end, and you can lift up, just a little lift up. And that's fine. So just lift up. And then 3, 5. 4, and then they sang 1, 3. There are other fingerings you can try here to avoid putting a thumb on an F sharp, but they're awkward. Nothing's really good. If you want to work up your own fingering, it's up to you. Otherwise, I suggest you go ahead and use the fingering in the book. 3 here, just for one note, and both of these are black keys, so it's not like your finger has to go in there until you play the A, and you can come back here for that if you need to. So you might be able to do that, and then a B natural, and then a B flat, and the third finger. Lift up, it's the end of a phrase, and go down. And then we have that same fingering we had before. You do the one in the book, or do a 5/4 on the 8th notes, and then a 3. Up to you. And we've had all this before. Over on page 11, at the top, we've here, and then lift up. It's a new phrase. They're saying 1, 3. I like 1, 2. It just falls for me. It's up to you what you do. And then they're saying third finger. There's other fingerings. If you do 1, 2, then on the 8th notes, instead of a 3, it's not the end of a phrase there. You really should connect this. Just come down, little finger on the G. Right there. Now you can lift up, it's the end of a phrase. 1, 3, if you, 1, 2 fits better, but a 1, 3 is better for what's coming up, because this way I've got second finger reserved for the F sharp. Here, here, Hold that C down as you play these. And C into a phrase and lift up. And then we got what we had before. Last line. Last two measures, you're here. And a 2-3, and then a 1-5. You have to work out these fingers very carefully. We want to play the melody legato if possible, except for the phrasing. You're lifting up, and that's fine. Left hand, keep the left hand soft and out of the way. It's just accompaniment. So just, their fingering is fine. They're saying here. There's other fingerings, but that's, if you prefer different fingering, go for it. Otherwise, the one in the book is fine. You can't really connect the chords too well, but the pedal will help out here. Do the best you can with the hands. Second line. I prefer second finger on the A flat. You got to reach down a little more for the B natural here. And then second measure, second line, 2 on the G flat, and the half note is a G natural. And then little finger on the D. This way you're in position to go on, because I'm playing all of this legato in the left hand. The phrasing is for the right hand, not the left, so I'm playing it all legato if I can. Now, third line down, second measure. You're here. Now you have to move quickly. This is actually quite common in piano, this type of move. You get it at the end too. You just get off it quickly so you can get down there. The pedal will hold it out for you. There's other ways we could do it. If you got really big hands, you can here and here and here, but yeah, just their fingering is fine. Top of page 11, first line, last two measures, you're here. And then here, cross over, and they're saying 2-1. I suggest 3-1 there. So because I've got 2 on the C sharp, just 3-1 for one beat, and then you lift up at here, and then move. There's other fingerings again you can use here. It's up to you. Because of the rest, you got time to move around. But here, that's fine. Well, second line, last measure, here. And then come down. I do 5th finger there because I've got 4-2 on the half note. I don't want to use 4 again. So I'm going to reach down, little finger. I can't reach it, but I can get close. So I don't have to move as far. Let me do some more of that. So you work it out and get your fingering for each hand individually, and then you can put the hands together slowly. If you're struggling with this and the hands aren't going together too well, then forget the rhythm. Just try and get it. You can tell how the notes line up and the hands play together. Work on that. For instance, in the third measure there, the hands are here. That's fine. And then they come here again. Get that. And then the next measure you're here. So just work on that part. Try and get the hands so they're playing together. Here and here. And then once you get that, this may take a while. And then once you get it, then you can put the rhythm back in. 1 and 2. Remember, it's a phrase in the right hand, but not the left. Here. Lift up here, but that stays down. And again, here, lift up in the right hand. It's a phrase. But the left hand stays down. Some more, blah, blah, blah. Let's go over to page 11. Pick up to the third measure here. to hold that B flat down. It's a half note. But there's a phrase in the right hand. Now here both hands come up because the left hand has a rest and a phrase in the right hand. And then back to what you were doing at the beginning. So forth. So you work it out very slowly and get this, and then gradually speed it up as you can get comfortable with it. Because the piece is a happy piece. It's just somebody wants it to be really miserable outside, and let it go. Now, there's a note at the bottom that's a style, this is kind of a swing piece. And in the style of swing and playing that genre of music, you swing the eighth notes. In other words, you play them long, short, long, short. So the counting, instead of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and that's the counting. 1 and 2 and 3 and it's only the eighth notes. You don't swing anything else, but you swing all the eighth notes all the way through it. And when we do the play with me, I'll go ahead and do that. Swing them. Now they've added pedal, and we do need a little pedal to help us smooth this out a little bit, but we don't want to blur it up. We don't want to pedal it any more than we have to. So let's look at this pedaling. I'm going to use lag pedal or overlapping pedal. The hands go down first, the notes, and then the pedal. So the pedal lags behind the hands. So when you don't use it in the first measure because you don't want to smear this. Ugh. It's the wrong kind of storm here. So no. And then right after I play that, I put the pedal down and hold it, and I'm going to lift the pedal with the hands so there's silence before we start the piece, because this is introduction. Now put it down right after I play them. And I'm going to change the pedal after I play the note. So in the third measure, the first line is here. Play the notes and then change the pedal. Now in the last measure, the first line, I don't change the pedal. I just leave that. And then second line, pedal it like they're showing. Now in the second measure, the second line, I lift the pedal up with the right hand. For the half note, I want to hear the phrase. So here, just go on. So it's the second line again is here. Lift up. The left hand stays down, the pedal in the right hand come up. So it's just left hand alone for just an instant, and then we go on. And pedal. Don't pedal this. They're saying pedal this. I disagree. Don't pedal that. You can pedal the starting with the next line. That's mushy to me, but we'll let it go. Do it again. And again, the last line, second measure, there on page 10. Lift the pedal up with the right hand on the half note so we hear the phrase. The left hand stays down. And at the end of the bottom of page 10, the last beat, I don't pedal that. I mean, in a way, you can take out, even in the mushiness, we've had this before, at the top of page 11, first measure here, you can get rid of that mushiness simply by pedaling the first and third beats only. Here. And we we had that same situation over on page 10. It's the third line down, first measure. You don't have to pedal the eighth notes, although if you want to smear them, smear them. Now lift it up, and this is the top of page 11, second line, or first line, second measure. Lift it up for the phrase. Both hands and the pedal, everything come up, so there's just an instant of silence now. Now, this part, how smeary do you want it? I can do it the way it's written, and I get this. I think that's terrible, but if that's okay with you, go for it. I want to clean that up. I'm not gonna pedal the eighth notes, basically. I'm just not pedaling the beats with eighth notes in it is all. And on that next, this is the third measure, the first line. When I pedal on the second beat, I hold it down for the rest of the measure. I don't change it on beat 3 like they do it. I just hold it down for the measure. And then lift. There's no phrase break here, but I'm still going to lift the pedal for the eighth notes. And then here, the first beat of the next, or the first measure of the next line, first or third beats only. I'm now pedaling the eighth notes. I think it smears it. And the second measure, I'm going to lift it up with the right hand because it's a phrase. I'm not pedaling the eighth notes. Again, I'm not pedaling the eighth note. I mean, you don't even have to pedal the first measure of the third line at all. It's a nice contrast, not having pedal once in a while. So these eighth notes thing is up to you, because you can do all that on the page 10 too, except when they're repeated. It's nice to have those if you want them connected. You can, if you'd prefer them separate. Maybe occasionally you separate them for contrast. You can play the first one staccato. Occasionally, just to have some difference going on. It doesn't all have to be the same. But the pedaling throughout the rest of this is pretty much the same as what we've already had. You'll have to decide on the pedal on how much smearing you want to do and how complicated you want to get the pedal. They keep the pedaling in these books fairly simple. And that blurs things up, and so you learn it first without pedal so you can hear all the notes and everything, and then when you add pedal you can hear the difference it makes. So only put in the pedal when you feel you absolutely need it, not just because the book is saying that. These are just suggestions. Anything I'm telling you is a suggestion. There's no right or wrong. It's what do you like to hear. Dynamic wise, they're all suggestions. Get to know the piece and then you'll get a feel for it. It says it starts out loud for the introduction. And then you come down a little bit. Into the second line, now you're going to go back up. So this is, then come back down like it was at the beginning, and then at the end of the page there, again you get louder. Now at the top of page 11 and going into the third measure, you're down to sort of soft. It's a little softer than you've been playing. Gradually, I would say most of the crescendo in that third line for the second measure. In other words, I wouldn't do any crescendo to speak of in the first measure. And this is just sort of loud. It's not loud yet. We're saving the loud for the last line when you're getting it. And then at the end, I have a problem with this. At the end, they want you to decrescendo to get it back down, but they put an accent on the second note. I don't know that I like that, because an accent makes it a little louder. And then come off like that, to me, I don't know, I'd question that. These dynamics are suggestions anyway, so if you want to change these dynamics wherever, feel free. If you, I don't know, I see nothing wrong with finishing it loud. Like so, that's fine with me. In my mind, that makes more sense, because you finish, it's loud there at the end. Finish it loud, why not? I like to do a play with me slowly here, just to double check the notes and the rhythms. If you want to do it like one hand at a time, just to make sure, that's fine too. I'll try and pedal it as I'm suggesting. In other words, I'm not going to pedal the eighth notes most of the time. I'll pedal the repeated eighth notes, but otherwise I prefer not to. And we'll try it out. And I am going to swing these eighth notes, so I'll give us 4 counts. So let's see what happens. 1 and 2 and ready and go, and 1.